He-Jin wiped the sweat from her forehead as she crawled through another maintenance tunnel. The metal walls of Stellar Station 7 hummed around her. Her knees hurt from hours of crawling, but she kept going. There was always more work to do, especially for a human. "Hey, Primitive, don't forget to check the waste recycling systems too." A loud voice called from the tunnel entrance. Laughing followed. He-Jin didn't respond. She just kept working, checking each power coupling carefully. After 5 years on the station, she had learned that saying nothing was better than talking back. The aliens thought humans were simple and backward. Fine, let them think that. Her tablet beeped, showing another job added to her list. He-Jin looked at it and sighed. Someone had set the cleaning robots loose in the officers' dining hall again. They would need to be caught and reset. Of course they gave this job to her. "Better you than us dealing with those dirty machines," said Officer Mel, a tall blue-skinned alien, as He-Jin passed by with her toolkit. "It suits a human's natural abilities." He-Jin kept her face blank as she walked past the group of junior officers. They were always like this, giving her the worst jobs, making jokes about humans. They didn't know that she could take apart and rebuild those cleaning robots faster than anyone else on the station. They didn't know a lot of things about her. The dining hall was a mess when she arrived. 3 cleaning robots spun in circles, spraying cleaning fluid everywhere. He-Jin pulled out her tools and got to work. Her hands moved quickly, finding the reset switches and fixing the programming. In 15 minutes, all 3 robots were working properly again. As she packed up her tools, her tablet showed readings from the hall's systems. He-Jin froze. Something wasn't right. The numbers from the station's defense grid were off. Way off. She double-checked the readings. The defense shields were running at 60% power, but the system showed them at 100%. Someone had changed the programming to hide the problem. If the shields failed, the whole station would be in danger. He-Jin rushed to the command center. She had to tell someone, even if they didn't want to listen to a human. The doors slid open, and she saw Commander Tae-ri standing at the main control panel. "Commander," He-Jin said, trying to stay calm. "I found something wrong with the defense shields." "They're maintenance worker." Commander Tae-ri cut her off without turning around. "Did someone call for repairs in the command center?" "No, but..." "Then you have no business being here." The commander's voice was cold. "Return to your assigned duties. If we need something fixed, we'll call you." "But the shields are working perfectly," Commander Tae-ri said. "Our systems are far too advanced for a human to understand. Do not waste my time again." He-Jin's hands tightened on her tablet. She wanted to shout, to make them listen, but she knew they wouldn't. Not to her. Not yet. "Yes, Commander," she said quietly. She turned and left the command center. Back in her small room, He-Jin looked at the shield readings again. The problem was getting worse. She could see it in the power fluctuations, the tiny delays in the response times, signs that would be clear to anyone who really knew how the station worked. She thought about her past, about everything she had left behind on Earth, about who she used to be. But those memories wouldn't help her now. She was just a maintenance worker here, crawling through tunnels and fixing robots. He-Jin started typing on her tablet, documenting everything she found. Maybe they wouldn't listen to her now, but soon they would have to. Because she knew what those numbers meant. Trouble was coming to Stellar Station 7. And when it did, they would need more than just a maintenance worker to save them. She looked out her small window at the stars. Somewhere out there, pirates and raiders were watching too. Looking for stations with weak shields, looking for easy targets. He-Jin saved her notes and went back to work. She had more maintenance tunnels to crawl through, more systems to check. And while she worked, she would watch and she would wait. Because that's what they expected from a simple human maintenance tech. They didn't know she had once been something else entirely. He-Jin closed her eyes as she sat in her small room after her shift. The memory came back strong and clear, like it always did. 5 years ago. Earth. A different life. Again. He-Jin's voice echoed across the training yard. 50 young soldiers moved as one, performing the combat sequence she had created. Among them, Do-Won and Ji-Soo stood out, their movements sharp and precise. The morning sun shone on the special training center. Earth's best young soldiers came here to learn from her. He-Jin had changed how humans fought. She mixed old martial arts with new space combat techniques. Her methods worked in zero gravity. They worked in heavy spacesuits. They worked everywhere. Teacher He-Jin. Do-Won called out after training. He was tall and strong, but his eyes were kind. The new sequence you taught us, it's amazing. But why do we train with no weapons? He-Jin picked up a practice staff. Show me your best attack, she said. Do-Won grabbed another staff. He was fast, very fast. But He-Jin moved like water. She didn't block his attack. She wasn't there when it landed. Then her staff touched his chest, so gentle it didn't even wrinkle his uniform. Because, Do-Won, she said with a small smile, the body learns what the mind understands. Master movement first. Weapons come later. Ji-Soo watched from nearby, her eyes bright with understanding. She was smaller than the other soldiers, but He-Jin saw herself in the young woman. Someone who saw patterns others missed. That afternoon, they got the news. Alien ships had appeared near Mars. First contact, but not the friendly kind. The aliens thought humans would be easy to defeat. They had better ships, better weapons, but they didn't have He-Jin's students. Remember your training. He-Jin shouted over the comm system. Earth's space fleet was fighting back. Do-Won and Ji-Soo led their teams using her methods. The alien soldiers didn't understand what they were seeing. Humans moved differently in space. They didn't fight like the aliens expected. Each movement flowed into the next, using the zero gravity instead of fighting it. He-Jin watched from the command center as her students turned the tide of battle. It's working. Ji-Soo's voice crackled over the comm. They don't know how to counter our movements. The first contact war lasted 3 days. Just 3 days. The aliens retreated, but not before they learned that humans weren't as simple as they thought. After the war, Earth joined the galactic community. Humans could travel to the stars. But things changed. Politicians talked about peace. They said Earth needed to seem less threatening. They didn't want He-Jin's combat school anymore. But Teacher Do-Won said when she told them she was leaving, "We need you here. Your methods work. They protect people." He-Jin shook her head. Sometimes, Do-Won, the best way to teach is to step back. You and Ji-Soo know everything I can show you. Now you must make it your own. Where will you go? Ji-Soo asked quietly. To the stars, He-Jin answered. To learn. To understand. Maybe out there, I'll find a new way to help. The memory faded, bringing He-Jin back to her small room on Stellar Station 7. Her hands still remembered every movement she had taught. Her mind still held every lesson. But here, she was just the human who fixed things. She looked at her tablet, at the warning about the shield systems. Something was coming. She could feel it, just like she used to feel an attack coming in training. A message flashed on her screen. More cleaning robots needed fixing. He-Jin stood up, picked up her toolkit, and headed for the door. Let them think she was just a maintenance worker. Let them laugh at the human crawling through tunnels. She had taught her students that the best defense was the one your opponent didn't see coming. Now she lived that lesson every day. He-Jin smiled a small smile as she walked down the corridor. Somewhere out there, Do-Won and Ji-Soo were probably teaching her methods to their own students. And here she was, fixing robots and checking systems, waiting for the moment when all her skills would be needed again. Some lessons, she knew, were best taught by example. 3 days after He-Jin discovered the shield problem, things got worse. Much worse. Her tablet showed the shield power dropping to 45%, but the main system still reported everything as normal. She had to try warning them again. This time, He Jin brought proof. She had collected data for 3 days, showing how the power levels kept dropping. She also fixed the programming that hid the problem, saving a copy to show Commander Tyree. "Commander," He Jin said, standing straight in the command center. "Please look at this data. The shields are failing. Someone changed the system to hide it, but I found the real numbers." Commander Tyree finally turned to look at her. The tall alien skin shifted colors, showing annoyance. "You again. I told you to stay at your maintenance duties." "Just look at the numbers," He Jin said, holding out her tablet. "The shields are at 45% power. If something happens, if I check your data, will you return to your proper place?" Commander Tyree asked. Her voice was cold. "Yes, Commander." Tyree took the tablet. Her eyes moved over the screen quickly. Too quickly. She wasn't really reading it. "As I thought," the commander said. "You don't understand our technology. These readings are normal system tests. Now leave, before I report you for interrupting command operations." He Jin wanted to argue. She wanted to make them understand. But she saw the looks on the other officers' faces. They wouldn't listen. Not to a human. Back in the maintenance tunnels, He Jin checked her personal tablet again. The shield power had dropped another 2%. She thought about her students, about what she had taught them. When no one believes your words, she used to say, let your actions speak for you. He Jin started working faster. She checked every system she could reach. She made sure all the emergency doors worked properly. She fixed backup power systems that no one had looked at in years. If the shields failed, these systems would save lives. That evening, her tablet picked up something new. Strange signals, far from the station. She recognized them. Pirate ships used signals like these to talk to each other without being caught. He Jin rushed to the security office. Officer Mel was there, the same blue-skinned alien who always made fun of her. "Pirates," He Jin said quickly. "I found their signals. They're coming this way." Officer Mel laughed. "The human thinks she found pirates. How cute. Did you learn that from your primitive Earth movies?" "Please," He Jin tried again. "Just check the deep space scanners. Look for." "Get back to work," Mel said. "The cleaning robots need fixing again." "That's more your level." He Jin left the security office. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. She was angry. Angry at their pride. Angry at their stupid jokes. But mostly angry at herself for not finding a way to make them listen. She went to her room and pulled out an old box. Inside was something she hadn't used in 5 years. Her combat suit from Earth. It was thin and light, perfect for moving in space. She had kept it in perfect condition, just like she kept her skills sharp with daily practice. He Jin put the suit on under her maintenance uniform. She filled her tool belt with extra tools that could become weapons if needed. Then she went back to work, checking systems and fixing things. 3 hours later, her tablet showed new numbers. The shield power was down to 40%. The pirate signals were stronger. They were getting closer. He Jin took a deep breath. She thought about her students again. About Do-Won's strength and Jisu's quick mind. About all the lessons she had taught them. Sometimes the best fighter was the one no one saw coming. Sometimes the best defender was the one they all ignored. He Jin smiled a small, tight smile as she crawled through another maintenance tunnel. Let them keep laughing at the human maintenance worker. Let them ignore her warnings. Soon they would learn what she had taught all her students. The quiet ones were often the most dangerous. The pirates attacked at midnight, station time. He Jin was in the maintenance tunnels when the first blast hit. The weakened shields flickered and failed, just as she had warned. Red emergency lights flashed everywhere. The station's alarms screamed. He Jin heard panic in the voices over the station speakers. "This is impossible." Commander Tyree's voice crackled through the comm system. The shields were at full power. How did they? Another blast cut off her words. He-Jin felt the station shake. She pulled up the station map on her tablet. 5 pirate ships were attacking. 3 more were moving to dock with the station. The security teams weren't ready. They had gotten lazy, thinking the shields would protect them. Now pirates were cutting through the outer doors. He-Jin moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels. She knew every path, every shortcut. While others ran in panic, she had a plan. First, she went to the power core. The pirates would try to take it first. She changed the access codes and redirected power to the emergency systems. Next, she activated the backup air seals she had fixed. If the pirates breached the hull, these would save lives. Security teams, report. Commander Terry's voice came again. Where are the pirates? They're everywhere. Officer Mel shouted back. They knew exactly where to hit us. Of course they did, He-Jin thought. They had watched the station. They had seen the weak shields. They had planned this attack carefully. He-Jin heard fighting near the main cargo bay. She looked through a maintenance grate and saw 5 young alien officers trapped. They were some of the ones who always made fun of her. Now they were hiding from pirates behind cargo boxes. The pirates were getting closer to them. They had better weapons. The young officers wouldn't last long. He-Jin had a choice. She could stay hidden in the tunnels, stay safe. Let them face what their pride had brought them. But that wasn't who she was. That wasn't what she had taught her students. She opened the maintenance panel silently. Her combat suit moved with her perfectly as she dropped down behind the pirates. They didn't hear her land. The first pirate fell before he knew she was there. He-Jin used his own weight against him, just like she had taught her students. The second pirate turned, but she was already moving. Her elbow found the weak spot in his armor, another lesson she had taught. The third pirate was smarter. He jumped back and raised his weapon. But He-Jin wasn't there anymore. She flowed around his shot like water, another movement from her training. Her foot caught his knee, and he fell. The last 2 pirates tried to fight together. He-Jin smiled. She had trained her students to fight in teams. She knew all the moves these pirates might try. 30 seconds later, all 5 pirates were unconscious. He-Jin stood still, breathing calmly. The young officers stared at her with wide eyes. How did you? One of them started to ask. Get to the emergency shelter, He-Jin said firmly. Stay away from the main corridors. The pirates know those paths. But what about you? Another officer asked. This one had laughed at her just yesterday. I have work to do, He-Jin said. She jumped up, caught the edge of the maintenance tunnel, and pulled herself back in. She heard them whispering as she crawled away. Her tablet showed more pirates entering the station. They were moving toward the command center, toward Commander Tyree. He-Jin checked her suit and moved through the tunnels again. The pirates thought they knew this station. They thought they had planned for everything. But they hadn't planned for her. They hadn't planned for a human maintenance worker who had once trained Earth's best warriors. He-Jin smiled as she moved through the darkness. It was time to teach some pirates a lesson about underestimating humans. He-Jin moved silently through the station. 10 more pirates had fallen to her quick attacks, but there were still too many. They were getting closer to the command center. She heard voices ahead. Officer Mel and 3 other security officers were trapped. Pirates had them cornered in the officers' dining hall. Look at their moves, one pirate said. These station guards are so predictable. No challenge at all. He-Jin watched through a ceiling panel. 8 pirates surrounded the security team. Officer Mel looked scared. His blue skin had turned pale. She thought about all the times Mel had made fun of her, all the dirty jobs he had given her, but that didn't matter now. He-Jin dropped from the ceiling. She landed in the middle of the pirates. They weren't ready for her style of fighting. She moved like flowing water, each attack connecting to the next. The pirates couldn't hit her. They couldn't even track her movements. In 40 seconds, all 8 pirates were on the floor. Officer Mel stared at her with his mouth open. That fighting style. I've seen it before, in old videos from the First Contact War. Hejin didn't answer. She was already moving toward the door. But Mel's words had stirred something in the other officers. Wait, one said. Those moves, that's the Earth combat style. The one that helped humans win the war. But that was created by... Officer Mel's eyes got very wide. You're Hejin, the combat teacher. Before Hejin could respond, the station shook. More pirates were attacking. The command center wasn't safe anymore. Why are you here? Mel asked. Why are you working as a maintenance worker? Because someone needs to keep this station running. Hejin said simply. Now follow me if you want to live. The pirates are coming. They moved through the maintenance tunnels. Hejin led them toward the emergency command post. But when they got there, they found more pirates. These pirates were different. They moved better. They had training. Elite raiders, Hejin said quietly. This will be harder. She was about to attack when a new sound filled the station. Ships were coming out of hyperspace. Big ships. This is Fleet Commander Do-1 of the Earth Defense Force. A familiar voice boomed through all station speakers. Surrender now, pirates, or be destroyed. Hejin smiled. Do-1. Her student had come. The elite pirates didn't surrender. They tried to fight. Hejin moved to stop them, but someone was faster. A woman in Earth combat armor dropped from another maintenance tunnel. She took down 3 pirates in seconds, using moves Hejin knew very well. Jisoo, Hejin said softly. Her other star student turned and smiled. Hello, teacher. Sorry we're late. More Earth soldiers appeared. They all moved the same way. Hejin's way. The pirates didn't stand a chance. Commander Taeri watched from the emergency command post. Her skin changed colors rapidly, showing surprise and shame. You tried to warn us, she said to Hejin. About the shields. About the pirates. We should have listened. Hejin nodded. Pride makes us blind sometimes, but we learn from our mistakes. Do-1's voice came again. Station secured. All pirates captured. Officer Mel looked at Hejin differently now. No more jokes. No more mockery. Just respect. Why didn't you tell us who you were? He asked. Would you have believed me? Hejin asked back. Sometimes actions speak louder than words. Jisoo came over and bowed to her old teacher. Your movements are still perfect, teacher. You haven't lost anything. Hejin smiled. I never stopped practicing, even while fixing robots. The station crew gathered around her now. They had many questions. They wanted to know everything about the human maintenance worker who had helped save them all. But Hejin was watching Do-1's ship dock with the station. Soon, her 2 best students would be here. Soon, everyone would know her story. She touched her old combat suit and smiled. Sometimes the best warriors were the ones who didn't need to prove themselves at all. Do-1 walked onto the station like he owned it. He was taller now, his shoulders broader than when Hejin had last seen him. But his eyes were the same, kind and full of respect when he saw his old teacher. Teacher Hejin, he said, bowing deeply. 5 years is too long. The station crew watched in silence. They saw their simple maintenance worker standing straight and proud, looking every bit the warrior she truly was. You've done well, Do-1, Hejin said. Fleet commander now. Jisoo stepped forward. He leads the biggest fleet in Earth's forces, and he still teaches your combat style to every new pilot. Commander Taeri couldn't stay quiet anymore. You mean this? This maintenance worker trained both of you, the 2 most famous human commanders. Do-1 turned to her. His voice was firm, but not angry. Teacher Hejin isn't just a trainer. She changed how we fight in space. She created the Earth combat style that helped us win the First Contact War. The commander's skin turned a deep purple, a sign of embarrassment in her species. But why did she come here? Why work as a maintenance tech? Hejin smiled. Sometimes the best way to learn is to start at the bottom. I wanted to understand how stations really work. Not just the fancy command centers, but the deep parts, the important parts. And that's why you saw the shield problem when we didn't, Officer Mel said quietly. You knew every system because you fixed them all. Show them, Jisoo said suddenly. Show them how you trained us, teacher. Jin looked at her old student. Here. Now. Yes, Do-won agreed. They need to understand. Commander Tae-ri, may we use the main training hall? The commander nodded quickly. Soon, word spread through the station. Everyone came to watch. Jin stood in the middle of the training hall. She wore her combat suit proudly now, no maintenance uniform covering it. Do-won and Jisoo stood with her. Watch carefully, Jin said to the crowd. Every movement has a purpose. She began to move. It was like watching water flow. Each step connected to the next. There was no wasted energy, no flashy tricks. Just perfect, smooth motion. Do-won and Jisoo moved with her, showing how the style worked with multiple fighters. They spun and turned, their movements matching perfectly. This is how we fight in zero gravity, Do-won explained to the watching aliens. No pushing against nothing. No fighting the empty space. We flow with it. The maintenance tunnels are just like space. Jin added. Tight spaces. No room to waste movement. That's why I stayed sharp, even fixing robots. The young alien officers who had once mocked her watched with wide eyes. Now they understood why she could beat the pirates so easily. Will you? One of them started, then stopped, embarrassed. Will I what? Jin asked kindly. Will you teach us? The young officer asked. Others nodded eagerly. Jin looked at her old students. Do-won smiled and nodded. The Earth combat style isn't just for humans, he said. Teacher Jin created it to work for everyone. That's what makes it special. Commander Tae-ri stepped forward. Jin, I was wrong about you. We all were. Would you consider a new position? Not just maintenance, but teaching too. Jin thought about her quiet days fixing things, about her peaceful life in the tunnels, but she also thought about her students and how teaching them had changed lives. I'll teach, she said finally, but I'm keeping my maintenance duties too. But why? Someone asked. You don't need to fix things anymore. Jin smiled her small, wise smile. A good warrior understands every part of their home, from the smallest power coupling to the biggest shield generator. That's the first lesson I'll teach you. The station crew looked at her differently now. Not as a simple human maintenance worker, not as a legendary combat teacher, but as both. Someone who knew that true strength came from understanding everything, top to bottom. Do-won and Jisoo stood proud beside their teacher. They knew that soon, Stellar Station 7 would be famous across the galaxy. Not for its technology or its size, but for its unique teacher, the maintenance worker who trained warriors. The celebration in the training hall didn't last long. Warning alarms started blaring again. More pirate ships. Officer Mel shouted from his command screen. A lot more. They brought their whole fleet. Jin moved quickly to the screen. 20 pirate ships were coming. These weren't random raiders. This was an organized attack force. They planned this, she said calmly. The first attack was just to test our defenses. Commander Tae-ri's skin turned pale. But our shields are still damaged. We can't. Yes, we can. Jin cut in. She turned to Do-won. How many ships do you have? 10, he said. Not enough to fight 20 pirates head-on. We don't need to fight them head-on. Jin smiled. Remember lesson 32. Do-won's eyes lit up. The water flows around the rock, not through it. Exactly. Jin turned to the command screen. Commander, give me control of the station's systems. All of them. Commander Tae-ri didn't hesitate this time. Do it. Jin's fingers flew over the controls. Do-won, split your ships into 3 groups. Jisoo, Get your best pilots ready. We're going to show them how Earth really fights." The pirate fleet came closer. Their ships were bigger, with stronger weapons. They thought they had the advantage. They were wrong. "Now," He-Jin commanded. She hit several controls at once. All the lights on the station went dark. Emergency power shut down. The station looked dead in space. "What are you doing?" Commander Tae-ri asked, worried. "Making them overconfident," He-Jin said quietly. "Watch." The pirate ships moved closer, thinking the station was helpless. That's when He-Jin's trap worked. Hidden power cables she had fixed over the past 5 years suddenly activated. Small thrusters she had carefully maintained fired all at once. The whole station moved. Group 1, attack pattern river. Do-1 commanded his ships. Earth ships swooped in from behind the station. They moved exactly like He-Jin had taught, flowing around the pirate ships, never where the enemy expected them to be. Group 2, pattern waterfall. Jisoo called out. More Earth ships dropped from above the station. Their attacks came from impossible angles. The pirates couldn't turn fast enough to fight back. "They're breaking formation," Officer Mel shouted excitedly. "Now the station," He-Jin said calmly. She pressed more controls. Stellar Station 7 came alive. But it didn't fight like a normal station. It moved like one of He-Jin's students, turning and flowing in space. Weapons fired from unexpected places. Maintenance pods became attack vehicles. "How is this possible?" one of the young officers asked in awe. "Because He-Jin didn't just fix our systems," Commander Tae-ri realized. She improved them, made them work together in new ways. The pirates tried to regroup. They still had more ships, but they didn't understand what they were fighting. Group 3, pattern ocean. Do-1 commanded his last ships. Earth ships and station weapons worked together perfectly. Everything moved in He-Jin's style. Smooth, efficient, unexpected. The pirates couldn't find a pattern to fight against because everything kept changing. 6 pirate ships destroyed, Jisoo reported. 8 more running away. "The rest are surrendering," Do-1 added with pride. The station crew cheered. Even Commander Tae-ri's skin glowed with happiness. He-Jin stood quietly at the controls. She had taught her students well. Both the old ones like Do-1 and Jisoo, and new ones like Officer Mel, and the station itself. "I understand now," Commander Tae-ri said softly. "You weren't just fixing machines all these years. You were teaching the station to dance." He-Jin nodded. "Everything can learn to move better. Ships, stations, people. We just have to be patient and understand how each thing works best." The crew looked at their station with new eyes. It wasn't just a collection of machines anymore. It was a living thing that had learned to fight from the quiet human who had fixed its systems every day. And now everyone knew. The girl the aliens had made fun of wasn't just a hero who trained warriors. She was still training them, every single day. After the battle, Stellar Station 7 was different. The crew walked through the halls with new eyes. They touched the walls gently, knowing now that every part of the station had been carefully tended by He-Jin's hands. "Teacher," Do-1 said, standing in her small maintenance room. "Come back with us. Earth needs you. The fleet needs you." He-Jin looked around at her simple room. Her tools hung neatly on the wall. Her combat suit lay folded next to her maintenance uniform. "Earth has you and Jisoo now," she said softly. "You teach others well. But you could teach so many more," Jisoo added. She held up a tablet showing messages from Earth Command. "They want you to lead the new combat training center. All species welcome." He-Jin touched her favorite wrench. It had fixed so many things on this station. And what happens to Stellar Station 7? Who will maintain its systems? "Maintain systems." Officer Mel's voice came from the doorway. "Teacher He-Jin, you did more than maintain things. You made this station come alive." Other crew members gathered behind him. The young officers who had once mocked her now stood respectfully. "Please stay," one of them said. Teach us both things, how to fix systems and how to fight. Commander Terry appeared in the crowd. Her skin shifted through happy colors. I have a proposal, if you'll hear it. He-Jin nodded. Stay as our combat master, Terry said, but keep your maintenance duties too. Teach both arts together, like you always have. We'll make this station a training center for both skills. The first of its kind, Do-One added excitedly. A place where people learn to understand machines and movement together. He-Jin looked at her old students. You support this. It's perfect, Jisoo said with a smile. Earth Fleet members can come here to train. Other species too. They'll learn everything you taught us, that understanding the smallest part helps you master the whole. Yunni, He-Jin's alien friend from maintenance, stepped forward. I'll help teach the maintenance classes. You showed me so many things about the station's systems. He-Jin sat on her small bed. Everyone waited for her answer. She thought about her quiet days in the maintenance tunnels, about the peace she had found in fixing things, but she also thought about the joy of teaching, of helping others understand both machines and movement. If I stay, she said slowly, things will be different. They already are, Commander Terry said. You changed us, changed this station. We just didn't see it until now. Officer Mel stepped forward. I was wrong about you. We all were. Let us learn to be better. He-Jin stood up. She picked up her wrench in one hand and touched her combat suit with the other. Then I'll teach you everything, she said. How to fix the smallest power coupling and how to move in the biggest battle. But you must promise one thing. Anything, several voices said at once. Never think any job is beneath you, He-Jin said firmly. The maintenance worker might be a warrior. The cleaner might be a genius. Every person, every job, has value. The crew nodded solemnly. They understood now. Do-One smiled proudly at his teacher. Earth Command will approve. The first combined skills training center in the galaxy, right here on Stellar Station 7. With the best teacher in the galaxy, Jisoo added. He-Jin shook her head. Not the best. Just someone who learned that everything connects. Movement to mechanics, people to machines, past to present. She picked up her tablet, the one that had first shown her the shield problems. It now showed station systems working perfectly, flowing like her combat moves. When do we start? The young officers asked eagerly. He-Jin smiled her small, wise smile. We start in the maintenance tunnels. Lesson 1. How to crawl properly while checking power couplings. Some of them looked surprised, but no one complained. They had learned their lesson about underestimating He-Jin's teaching methods. And so the legend of Stellar Station 7 began. The place where warriors learned to fix things and maintenance workers learned to fight. 6 months after the pirate attack, Stellar Station 7 was a different place. The maintenance tunnels were full of students learning to crawl and check systems. The training halls were full of people learning to move like flowing water. He-Jin walked through her station, watching everything. She still wore her maintenance uniform, but now her combat suit showed underneath. Everyone who saw her bowed with respect. Teacher He-Jin called a young alien student. I fixed the power coupling just like you showed us. Then I practiced the combat moves while working. Good, He-Jin said with a smile. You're learning that every movement matters, whether fixing machines or fighting. The station had changed in other ways too. Commander Terry had ordered all the maintenance tunnels to be made bigger. Now they were training spaces too. Students learned to fight in tight spaces while actually fixing things. The Earth combat style works better here, Officer Mel told a group of new students. You learn to move properly because you have to. Just like Teacher He-Jin always said. In the main training hall, Jisoo was teaching a special class. She visited the station every month to help. Watch how the movement flows, she told her students. Just like He-Jin taught us. The same way you make machines work better, smooth, efficient, no waste. Do-One's fleet ships docked regularly at the station now. They brought new students from Earth and other planets. Everyone wanted to learn the combined skills method that Hujin had created. Did you ever think it would be like this? Yunhee asked Hujin as they watched students practice in the maintenance bay. Hujin shook her head. I just wanted to learn about stations, to understand how things worked from the bottom up. The teaching happened naturally. The maintenance bay had become Hujin's favorite teaching space. Tools hung on the walls next to training weapons. Students learned to use both with equal skill. A group of alien officers, the same ones who used to mock her, were now her best students. They learned every maintenance job eagerly. They practiced combat moves while cleaning robots. We were so foolish, one of them told a new student. We thought maintenance work was beneath us, but teacher Hujin showed us that understanding machines makes us better fighters. Hujin walked over to help a student who was struggling with both a broken panel and a difficult combat move. See how they connect, she said quietly. The way you open this panel is just like the defensive move you're learning. Smooth, careful, precise. The student's eyes lit up with understanding. Soon, they were fixing the panel perfectly while moving like a trained fighter. Commander Tae-ri appeared in the doorway. Her skin glowed with pride colors. Earth Command just sent a message, she said. They want to make more combined skills training centers on other stations. They want your help to set them up. Hujin nodded. Good, but they must understand one thing. Every station will be different. We don't copy. We adapt. We learn what works best in each place. Just like you did here, Tae-ri said with understanding. That evening, Hujin sat in her room. It wasn't so small anymore. The station had given her bigger quarters, though she kept all her old tools. She looked at her tablet. It showed the station's systems, all running perfectly. Next to it lay training reports from her students. Both made her proud. A message from Do-won appeared. Teacher, you've created something amazing here. Something that will change everything. Hujin smiled and sent back a simple reply. No, we created something amazing. Teachers and students, maintenance workers and warriors, humans and aliens, all together. She stood and got ready for the next day's classes. She had maintenance tunnels to crawl through, systems to check, and students to teach. The station hummed around her, working smoothly, moving like one of her combat sequences. Everything connected. Everything flowed, just as she had always taught. And somewhere on the station, a new maintenance worker was learning combat moves. A young warrior was learning to fix robots. The cycle would continue, growing, changing, improving. All because one human woman had known that true strength comes in many forms, and the best teachers never stop learning themselves.